Hello. Let me adjust the volume in game real quick. But calm down, buddy. Okay. I am going to open up the stream and I'm going to
What do you want now?
make sure that the leveling is all good on it, and then we should be good to start rocking. Testing, testing, testing.
What is it this time?
Does it seem like the audio is coming through from my game? E. Okay, let's get him to proc his voice line
What
again.
can I do for you?
Cool. Sounds like everything's working smoothly. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's been a long time since I've streamed. I've had a son. I've been going through a lot of changes at work and in life. But I recently played a little game called Outer Worlds 2. It is the sequel to a less popular RPG by Obsidian that I greatly enjoyed and actually started streaming on this channel like 3 or 4 years ago. This was before I had really committed to streaming and really sort of started figuring out how I wanted to run both my Twitch channel and my YouTube channel. Um, and I think the conclusion that I've come to over this past year is this. Um, I think that I want to just make reviews. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about the Outer Worlds 2 in depth, and I have already finished the game. I was playing it like a man possessed for a couple of weeks, and I had a lot of fun with it. I know it's not perfect, I know that there's some issues with the game, with how it's written, how certain things interact, and I've either heard people who have gone into it expecting to hate it, or I've heard people who seem to like the game, but didn't have enough time in the game to really be able to talk about it, and especially because they haven't. Not everybody played the first one, and not everybody beat the first one, and on top of that, not everybody played the first game's DLC, which I think did a lot to expand what I enjoyed about Outer Worlds 1. Um, so I think that it would just be interesting to give my take on it, and so I'll be recording these gameplay sessions on my Twitch channel, and then I will be pulling the footage off of my Twitch, the VODs, and I will be editing them. I plan on making a full YouTube video review. And the idea that started this was I had finished the game. I had like 30 minutes before work, so I sat down to write a review and on Steam. And by the time that I had written everything that I wanted to say about the game, it was about 4,000 characters longer than Steam would allow, which I don't know what their character limit is. It may be a small number. Um, but still, 12,000 characters, or sorry, 4,000 characters in excess of what they would allow me to say, I think warrants me committing more time to it. So, as for what this run will entail, so the last run of this game that I did, I ended up doing a run where I was a brawny, dumb, lucky guy. Those were my traits, and I specialized in guns, I had some melee points. Medical, lockpicking, engineering. That was kind of my skill set. I think I'm going to... Oh, and speech. I think I'm going to keep speech because I didn't end up having enough speech towards the end of the game because of the level cap, which I'll discuss that whenever that comes up. But my speech wasn't high enough to talk down the big bad at the end of the game, so I'd like to give that a good proper go now that going into the game, I know how many levels I'll get and how much time I have to kind of iron out an endgame build. But the way that this playthrough will diverge from my previous playthrough is I will not be selecting the brawny trait, in lieu of picking up the brilliant trait to play the idiot savant playthrough, which is something I've been hearing a lot of good things about. If you choose brilliant and dumb at the same time, it actually unlocks unique dialogue options. Dialogue options that are separate from the brilliant and dumb options, respectively. Additionally, last time I was a goody two-shoes who did his best to make everything right and good, but I've heard tell of another playstyle, the psychopath playstyle, which is essentially centered around... Yeah, you can still hear me over the game. Cool. Just making sure. The psychopath playthrough, though, is supposed to be a fun little way to kind of... I don't know if anybody else has ever done this, but I remember a lot of my fondest memories with, like, Bethesda-type games, which this is kind of in the ballpark of that, is just hopping in and running around and killing people and seeing what the consequences were. Like, I remember my first time playing Fallout 3, I was at a birthday party with a friend, and everybody was hanging out, and then he brought out the 360, and booted up a copy of Fallout 3. I'd never interacted with Fallout before. I'd never interacted with a Bethesda game before because I grew up primarily on Nintendo games. Some PlayStation. But the most fun that I had was just running around killing random NPCs, because I was 15 at the time and I thought that was hilarious. So I'm planning on doing that with this playthrough. Just kind of getting back to what made me enjoy this kind of, you know, loot collecting, shoot guys, talk to people kind of game that Obsidian has crafted here. I quite enjoy the humor in this game, but going into it, I ought to warn you, some of it can be grating. It's very quippy, and I know, especially with the oversaturation of, you know, just people doing a bunch of quippy, tropey humor, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe comes to mind with that sort of thing. So going into it, just understand that that's kind of the playbook they're reading from, although this game is a lot more serious than the first game. Because I know that one of the big problems is that every quest in the first game kind of... It had an interesting premise, but it ultimately ended up being a prank, and it's funny the first few times, but eventually it turns into a grating endeavor. They really tightened up the game feel in the way that they wanted things to come off in this game. Like, they're trying to tell a more serious story. They're not just going, haha, corporation bad, this why corporation bad. They're actually taking the time to explore what a corporate ideal could be when placed against something as authoritarian as the Protectorate, one of the factions in the game, or something as high-minded and idealistic as the Order in this game, in comparison to this almost sarcastic cheer of like a massive corporation trying to get its, you know, bottom rungers to do their jobs. But I feel like I've rambled long enough. It is time to enter the colony of Arcadia and learn just why the Protectorate is such a problem. So without further ado, let us begin a new game.
Commander. We've been hit by one of those space anomalies.
Buddy?
And the piloting system is down.
Buddy.
The astrogator's gears are shot!
Get a hold of yourself. You're an Earth Directorate agent.
And
Affirmative,
so
Commander.
are we.
What are the orders?
What are the orders?
Brace. For impact.
I like how they treat this like the,
Unable to brace for impact.
you know, retro-futuristic 1920s. Let me turn that down a bit.
Is it the end for Commander Zane and Buddy? Tune in next week to find out.
Okay. So what I'm going to do for your sake as my stream is I'm going to turn down the game capture audio so you won't hear the game too loud, and I will wait until I can get into a menu, and then I will fix it on my end.
From one side of the galaxy to the next, the Earth Directorate is on your side.
This has like a very Starship Troopers vibe, like a Helldivers kind of silliness to it, which I really like.
Tyrannical governments or corrupt corporations in league with tyrannical
And I know it's kind of silly to double down on that one, but I actually really enjoyed this opening sequence. They treat it kind of like an 80s action movie that's just dripping with the first game had kind of a 1920s retrofuturism to it, but this one seems to be trying to lean more into the 1950s, I think to elicit some feelings of Fallout to the players. Like, there's still the 1920s feel to some of the things in the game, but it's not as clear of a distinct style as the first games, in my opinion. It's more muddled, it's more generic. Like that was actually one of my biggest complaints about the game, is that the art style had a lot of charm and personality, at the very least in the first one, even if it wasn't the best designed. Part of that is due to it being a AA instead of a AAA game. For those who don't know, AA games is a title given to games that, although they're not indie games, they are still being made by a studio that has something of a budget. It's essentially like if a board on a gaming company chose to allow, like, you know, they gave Toby Fox a budget to do a game, like in the same vein of Deltarune, but with like more time, more resources, more effort put into it, but not something that would be considered like a $70 first party launch title for a console or anything, I think is the best way to put it. But with this game, they had a bit more time. I say a bit more time, they had years. They had a larger budget due to being owned by Microsoft. I think what they're doing is splitting their attention too much, because they've released Grounded 2 this year. And I know a lot of people have been saying this, but I agree, I'd like to reiterate. Grounded 2 released this year, that is an Obsidian project. Avowed actually released earlier this year. I played some of it. I wasn't personally a huge fan of it, but I've also never been really into Pillars and into the world that Avowed takes place in. So I was automatically detached from it at the start, and I don't think that helped whenever I didn't enjoy the game. But on top of that, they're now dropping a third large release this year. I think what they need to do is maybe scale it back a little bit. Like, I'm sure they have multiple teams, and Microsoft has people that they've loaned to Obsidian to help out to make sure that it meets a certain standard. But I think that if a lot of the people from Obsidian that made like New Vegas so influential and so important, for example, have left the studio. It's not the same studio it was whenever they got that 84 on Metacritic, and produced one of the greatest RPGs of all time. But I don't think it's impossible, and I think The Outer Worlds 2 kind of proves that there is still something there to be desired. I think they need to hone in on it and really look at what they do as a studio and what kind of identity they're trying to push, because with the last game and with this game, Outer Worlds series, both of them were very heavily marketed as like from the people that brought you Fallout New Vegas, and you know, Fallout New Vegas is, you know, this is a spiritual successor to it, which I really don't feel was the case in the first game. I feel like the first game is a wholly unique beast. And that's actually why I like it, is because it's not just them trying to be like, you know, we did New Vegas, well, we're gonna try to do it again, but it's not the same because we can't use the Fallout IP. I think that it's a lot better to refocus what they want to do as a games company and sort of step away from their previous achievements and start moving forward in a direction that is more cohesive with what the company is now as opposed to what it used to be, because you're not going to make Fallout New Vegas again. You're not going to make New Vegas 2, and it's never going to live up to the hype because New Vegas was such a supremely special thing. It's the same as if the Zelda team were to announce that they were making essentially like a spiritual successor to Majora's Mask. I wouldn't put much stock into it because I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine that the teams have changed over the years, and that the original people who were in charge of like the Ocarina era Zelda are not the people who are in charge of Zelda today, especially with how big the most recent few Zelda games have been with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Those are radically different from that era. But that's where I think they're succeeding and Obsidian is failing, is that they have taken a series in a new direction and said, well, we're not going to make you the same game, but we are going to put our all into taking it into this different direction, and we're going to make sure that it is marketed and treated as such, as a different direction, so people aren't going into this hearing that this is going to be, you know, for this game's example, this isn't going to be New Vegas 2, this isn't going to be a spiritual successor to New Vegas, this is instead going to be something that, although it may have the spirit of New Vegas, we're trying to do something else here. I think that mixing up this product with their previous achievements is a large reason it contributed to the downfall, because it's always going to be overwhelming. And I say downfall, I'm sure everybody's seen the Steam numbers. There's no way we could know the Game Pass numbers, so we don't know how many people are actually playing it right now. But on Steam, it's not looking great. It peaked at about 18,000 players, and I know this is a single-player RPG, so you're not going to see crazy numbers like hundreds of thousands of people on it like you would on like Marvel Rivals or any other online shooter or online multiplayer type game. But I do think that the numbers are a little worrying for the performance of the game. They have committed to dropping 2 DLCs. We'll just need to see how the reception of this game influences that. I'm hopeful. I have a lot of great things to say about this game, but I figured I'd go ahead and get my mixed feelings on the development and release of this game out before continuing into actually breaking it down and exploring and talking about this game. So we've been staring at John Directorate for a while. That will be his name on this playthrough. I think it's time to not do that. I guess I'll adjust the volume later. Let me turn up the game capture so you can hear now that I'm done yapping about Outer Worlds and its troubled history with expectations and managing them. We're going to play a dude, because I typically don't play females in games whenever I can create a custom character. Whenever I am not creating a custom character, yeah, I'll play whoever's there. I played Nier. Other example here, but we're going to be playing a dude. I'm going to try to choose somebody who doesn't look completely horrific. Guy kind of looks like Sanjar from the first game, the MSI, Monarch Stellar Industries head. Also, there isn't really a lot of carryover from Outer Worlds 1 to 2 in terms of, like, you're not going to see anybody from Halcyon. You're not going to, you may hear a few things about the Halcyon colony, but it's more mentioned in passing. I think they wanted to distance this game from that game just to kind of give it its own room to walk and grow and breathe. So if you really enjoyed the first game and you're going into this like I did, hoping for there to be little Easter eggs everywhere, there are Easter eggs, but that's really about it. There's nothing super important or massive in the story that comes from the first game. I'm definitely going to give him a prosthetic because I think that the prosthetics are cool. Last time I played this game, I played a character known as Ivory Claw. I think Ebony Claw is going to be, and I think I'm going to make it his right hand because I did the left hand last time. This is the inversion of my, he kind of looks like a weird alternate dimension Robert Patterson. I can't remember. The dude that played the Batman and Edward. I gotta be honest, I played this game entirely in first-person mode. I know they added a third-person mode. Again, I think it was one of those last-minute decisions where they were like, what do New Vegas have? Oh, third-person, let's do third-person. It's not perfect. I didn't enjoy it very much, but I think if you are somebody who does enjoy third-person, I think you will have a very good time with it. Make our dude a little California surfer gone wrong. I don't want him to have, like, a full beard, but I want it to be, I want, like, a better 5 o'clock shadow, but I don't think they sell those here. I think that's, like, not bad, but I really wish there's a half step in between these. That's a small complaint, though. That's nothing to do with the, quality of the game overall. So backgrounds are important. Backgrounds have a lot of... Okay, so I chose to be a Lawbringer the last time, and I think I'm going to switch that up, because although Lawbringer is fun, we are being evil. But whenever I chose Lawbringer, at least the things that stuck with me that I retained after my playthrough, a lot of it was dialogue options, which isn't inherently a bad thing. But I think that more room for actions, based on that, like a Lawbringer, they may have experience... Okay. A Lawbringer will have experience with, you know, capturing criminals, maintaining a jail, rules and regulations, things like that. I think they could have really leaned into that instead of just being a, yes, I am a paragon of good. I think they could have leaned into more of a Lawbringer would typically have experience with, you know, legal proceedings, how certain jurisdictions and their laws work. I think that would have been a lot more interesting. That being said, that's the only trait that I have, or that's the only background I have experience with. So it's always a good time to learn a new thing. So I think what I want to do is ex-con. It's either ex-con or renegade. I don't care about gambler too much. I don't want to be evil professor seems kind of strange if you're an idiot savant. And roustabout is kind of just an unspecialized worker, like somebody who works, like I work at Walmart. It's an unspecialized position. I think I'm gonna go renegade because it's more of a skeevy, antisocial background, I think, than the gambler. Because renegade, I would just kill people for money. That kind of makes sense, because that's a lot of what I'm going to be doing. So, We need brilliant, and we need to pick another trait to choose a negative trait. So I am going to choose... I don't want to do... Suave is going to impact my Psychopath playthrough, and so is Witty. Because Suave will make it harder to gain negative reputation because smaller crimes will be okay. And Witty will prevent my faction progress will being... they will prevent it from going below negative. So I think that I'm going to choose... I really liked Lucky. I think I'm going to choose Lucky. So I'm going to be intelligent, stupid, and lucky. And I think that's going to be really, really fun. Sickly has some really funny, like, I played as a Sickly character for the first, 10 hours I played the game before restarting and doing a full playthrough with a different character. Sickly has a lot of, there's some expired rations at one point that are potentially useful, and you have to either have a certain amount of, medical or science knowledge, and an alternative to that is using Sickly to sniff it, because as somebody who has a weak immune system, you would have to be more discerning of what you put in your body. I think it's really funny. Abrasive could be helpful if I wasn't doing an Idiot Savant playthrough. I really wish you could pick more than one negative trait, but I suppose that would defeat the point of the limit. So, this is the tough part of being dumb. You have to just lock certain skills off. I'm gonna lock explosives off because although explosives is a valid combat strategy, I just kind of spammed my grenades. I don't want to make that my entire playstyle. Although there is a really sick set of armor that I would like to use in my explosives build at some point. I'll point it out whenever I get it in game. I think I'm going to lock myself out of leadership too, because although the companions are cool, they're only useful in a fight whenever you use their special abilities. Other than that, they're just kind of there. On normal difficulty, there has never been a moment where I was like, yeah, those guys can handle that guy, I'm gonna take out this other guy. I was always like, I need these guys to stay alive. I'm going to go kill that guy that they're dealing with, and then I'll focus on the dude who's been shooting me in the back, because that's better than taking them out, the dude shooting me in the back out, and my companions doing fuck all to the person who has been attacking them, and then me having to go and bail them out with the 3 enemies they've been dealing with. It's just, companions are good story-wise. They are not helpful in gameplay as much as you would think. For example, Niles has a really high engineering. There were very few points where I was able to ask Niles to take care of engineering for me, and I feel like if I've chosen, if I like this character so much, or what benefit they provide so much, if I choose to bring that character with me, I think there should be, a reward for choosing specific companions, and that would work better, because playing this game and assigning your skill points, I feel like I have to get everything, and I know that that's not feasible, and that's the whole point of the system, but it still feels bad when I can't rely on my companions to handle things that I'm bad at. That's the whole point of a team, isn't it? I feel like they just kind of swung and missed on the companion skills being actually echoed back out in the world. Because, with Tristan, the Protectorate companion that you get later in the game, he has observation. That's one of his big skills, and the only time I ever saw it pop up is whenever there were mines, and to be completely fair, it could just be something that I'm not getting because I don't have leadership. So I might actually test that out this playthrough, because if I'm writing review, I gotta be on it. I'm a psychopath. I don't care about sneaking. I'm just gonna go in and murder everybody. I think I'm gonna drop melee in favor of guns. I think I'm going to... I got 2 more skills I gotta choose. I gotta keep a damage skill. I think I'm gonna lock medical this time. There's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with medical throughout the game, but I feel like I could probably do similar things with hack or engineering or being smart with science. I just don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, I think. And I think I'm gonna hold on to observation this time around, and I think I'm going to drop engineering. Cool. And now that I have my brilliant, I can then choose 3 things to specialize in. So specializing start at 2 and can be raised to max faster. Much like the tagged skills in Fallout. I think I'm going to definitely tag speech. I'm going to tag lockpick, and I'm going to tag science. Those are the ones that I want to play around with the most, but I don't want to put that many points into, so I can put more points into things like observation, leadership, the things that I'm trying to test this time around. Hacking is something that all of my bypass shunts I sold in the first run, because I didn't want to hack anything. I didn't care about it. Lockpicking is much more important to me. But hacking was a big part of the first Outer Worlds, so I want to kind of go back and do that. Next, I am going to be John Directorate. Heck yeah, it fits perfectly. I think they designed it with that name in mind, guys. And we are going to review real quick. So I will not be blowing things up very well, sneaking very well, hitting things with a stick very well, being a doctor very well, or being a nerd very well. At least on the engineering front. I think that this is a solid character, and I'm ready to begin. So let's dive right into the world of Arcadia, and away we go. Okay, after selecting the difficulty. I play games on normal. I understand hard, very hard, and easy exist. But I feel like, especially since I'm reviewing a game, you should go with the developer's intended experience, right? Drop frame 0? Heck yeah. We're doing good, kids.
Commander, I know we're rarely of the same mind where tactics are concerned, but you're the best agent we've got for, let's say, our unofficial missions. And few are as unofficial as this one. Your destination, the Arcadian system, is the source of all skip drive manufacturing.
Okay, first I'd like to adjust the audio now that I have control over it. But that brought up one of the interesting points that I liked it, but I don't think that it was echoed very well in the game. See how that audio does before I continue.
However, they also fall outside our legal jurisdiction.
Okay.
A fact which no doubt makes this mission all the more interesting.
Audio's good. Skip drives. Those were a technology that was discussed in the Outer Worlds 1. It was essentially, like, at the time, it was just a lore tidbit that explained how people were able to get across the stars after leaving Earth so quickly. I say so quickly, they had to be frozen in hibernation still. Skip drives aren't, like, faster than light. But skip drives weren't really talked about in the first game. This game is going to attempt to clarify some of the mechanics of the Outer Worlds universe, and one of them is these skip drives. They're going to be digging a lot into it because actually they were supposedly invented right here in Arcadia, which is why I was so excited to get my hands on this game in the first place. So we'll let Mr. Directorate Man yap about what he wants us to do, and then we'll get going.
Intriguing to you. We have recently discovered that the drives are somehow responsible for the dangerous rift anomalies, the tears in the fabric of space itself. Without skip drives, interstellar travel is impossible. I'll not waste either of our time reviewing how the end of civilization would affect. Your mission is to rendezvous with De Vries, our forward agent, and assist her in retrieving the information needed to determine exactly how the skip drives cause the rift anomalies. But be advised, if you or any member of your team are captured, you will be on your own. There will be no rescue. We cannot afford for this to turn into an intergalactic incident. Agent De Vries will be contacting you shortly to coordinate your plan of action.
I know you'll always do what serves you best. In fact, I'm counting on just that. May the law and your unerring sense of self-preservation guide you and your team.
Heck yeah. That dialogue actually is a little different from my dialogue for Lawbringer. So this is Obsidian trying to show you early on, hey, we fixed it, choices matter now. Which I do really appreciate.
Commander, hey, got a moment?
Yes, Niles, in a second. So, quick little recap. We need to figure out what's going on with skip drives because skip drives are opening intergalactic wormholes known as rifts that are severely impacting the Arcadian system, and not only that, systems all around in the Outer Worlds. I assume Halcyon would also be affected by this because they utilize skip drives over there. But essentially, we are going to get to the bottom of it, figure out what's going on, and try to figure out a way to stop it. We have a forward agent, Agent De Vries, who is going to be helping us out. But first, let's meet the first companion of the game, Niles Zabara. Niles is the boy, in my opinion, but I'll let you be the judge of that.
Agent Pascal told me to bring you your new model tactical time dilation device. They say these newfangled ones cause no, that ain't right. 10.25% less brain damage than the old ones.
So, this is, I actually really liked the way they did this, so I want to dig into it a little bit. In the first game, tactical time dilation was a result of being frozen in hibernation for much longer than a normal person should be. The expected outcome normally is for people to end up... It's called explosive cell death, but it's really just your entire body liquefies as you thaw out. It's pretty horrific. Unless you use special chemicals, as Dr. Phineas Wells did in the first game to revive the main character. But tactical time dilation was a biological function as a side product of extended hibernation. In this game, they gave it back to us by creating a device that does the same thing, now with less brain damage, which I think is very funny. But yeah, I think it was cool for them to implement that system in a new way because, of course, the circumstance wasn't going to be the same. It would be kind of lame if you just woke up from cryo sleep way longer and you had to be thawed out a certain... Like, it would have been lame to do it again. So I appreciate them trying to find a way to work it in still because it is a fun mechanic. It is their VAT stand-in, which I quite like. I'm going to be a dummy because I think the dumb trait is fun, and Niles' reaction is always, he thinks I'm kidding, and I think it's pretty silly.
Yeah, I can see that. Oh, you're just putting one over on the new guy, ain't you? A good agent has need of these. They slow everything down, give you a tactical advantage. They say the way it works is like, well, you know how parts of your brain can become damaged if you're in suspended animation too long? It kind of does the same thing. Didn't I just say? But this way, you don't have to risk extended
You know what, I think
hibernation.
I'm gonna voice my
That can
lines.
kill
That
you,
way
you know.
anybody who's just
The lab
listening
coats
can
swear this
tell
way
what
is
dialogue
perfectly
option
safe.
I'm picking. Also,
Science
I
is
just like
amazing, ain't it? Listen
I
to
just
me
like
rambling
not
on.
sitting here and playing
So,
the game and actually
well,
engaging.
Anyway,
To be
here
fair.
you go. Look, Commander, truth be told, I asked to deliver it to you. I was just hoping to get a moment to ask you for a pointer or two, you know, on how to be a great agent like yourself. Because, well, you're a legend. And the other agents, well, let's just say they disagree on just how I should go about it.
I was very nice to Niles. I really like Niles as a character. I think he's one of the cooler companions. But that is not the role I'm playing this time.
Because you all
Why?
need so much more than me, and I don't want to mess things up. But Sky likes to joke around about everything. But I like it when she says it's all about looking out for those who can't defend themselves. But Sandoval, he laughs at that. Says we gotta save people because they're too stupid to save themselves. And that we got righteousness on our side.
Never forget, Niles, this is just a job. No one's ever going to be looking out for you, but you.
Not looking to be contrary or nothing, Commander, but that runs counter to everything we're taught at the Academy. I'll give it some thought.
I will
Anyway,
mold you into the
thanks for
perfect
giving me the
killer,
time of day.
Niles.
Most superiors wouldn't. Oh, I almost plumb forgot to tell you. It's near time for Agent DeVries to establish contact. She's like you, top tier, one of the Earth Directorate's best. I know you'll like her. Anyway, we ought to be getting down to the main room and open up the channel.
I'm going to be fighting my good instincts every step of the way on this playthrough, I think.
Calls should come through at the console.
So, we cannot currently get into the office that way, but the Outer Worlds 2 has expanded on the vents mechanic and exploration of them. So this is something that is required to speak to the agent at the console, so I'm going to go ahead and knock it out. I'm also going to be keeping helmets on for this playthrough because although some of the helmets look goofy, it is the art design of the game, and I'd like to keep things as realistic as possible because whenever it comes to Tristan and his helmet, I think that thing is sick. So I would very much like to see that in gameplay. So, we need to check our terminal. There's just a bunch of stuff talking about different operating procedures for Earth Directorate agents in this. I'm not going to read all this out to you. If you like, you can pause the screen on that one or look into the other entries. But
Whoa, that's sure faster than taking the stairs.
this is something that Obsidian went like a couple steps forward and one step back with this game in relative to the original Outer Worlds game, in that, like, when I just jumped down from the railing, Niles commented on it. He said, wow, that's faster than taking the stairs. That's pretty cool, and people will do that, but it doesn't come up as often as you would think. Later on, there's a quest with Niles with an old friend of his, and when you get to the old friend's place, if you start picking up loot, he'll but before talking to him, he'll ask you if you just like to put your hands on everybody's possessions when you first meet them, and I think that's funny, but it didn't happen as much as I thought it would. But they, in exchange for these little moments, took away a lot of the companion conversations like they had in the first game, because I would remember running around in the first game with my companions, being able to just see after a battle or on the way to an objective, you turn around and Felix and Vicar Max are talking to each other about tossball or religion or the corporate world or how much Felix hates the board. Like, there was always something interesting going on with the companions if you just gave it a second and listened to them talk. That's not to say that isn't in this game. I noticed it a few times, but it's not nearly as prevalent, and that was one of the things that I really enjoyed about the first game. Let's talk to Agent DeVries and see what's going on. John Directorate's credentials have been inserted.
Commander, considering the danger and consequence of the mission we're about to undertake, I hope you'll forgive the lack of pleasantries. Arcadia is ruled by a dictatorship that calls itself the Protectorate. They are beyond secretive. However, it is their inability to even imagine that someone could infiltrate their system that has given us an advantage. One I've found a way to exploit spectacularly. As unbelievable as it may sound, once you make your way to my location in the Skip Labs, we will be liberating an unsealed Skip Core.
Okay. Checking on the stream, making sure everything's going according to plan. Aha! Our first renegade option. I feel like we have to. I paid a guy to open a sealed one for me once. They had to scrape him off the walls.
And you know what I'm speaking of. But the whole story about the explosive seals being necessary to complete the circuit so they'll function...
That's wrong!
Well, it's a lie. The seals are just there to conceal the inner workings of the drive so no one else can duplicate them. Examining an unsealed one will be invaluable in helping our lab coats figure out how they cause the rifts. But you'll first need to make your way to the station proper from the landing pad.
Sure. Sounds easy.
Hopefully so. Our mission's timing is fortuitous. Most of the sector security was reassigned to the far side of the station in preparation for the imminent visit of their sovereign's family. They decommissioned several landing pads, including ours, to give them fewer points of entry to guard, giving us fewer chances to be intercepted. You'll just need to reroute power to open the door to the sector once you've landed.
Anything else?
Once you gain access to the sector, you'll need to shut down their communications to keep them from alerting anyone to our presence. Then, you'll need to handle their combat mechs.
Understood. I am an agent of the law.
I've managed to leave
For now.
caches of tools and intel for you throughout the sector. I'd take advantage of all of them, were I you. This may sound simple, but I cannot stress this enough. Do not underestimate the danger we face.
Come on, Agent. Haven't you heard? We're the best and brightest. We infiltrate corrupt governments before breakfast most days.
Do you think this is some kind of joke? The Protectorate are the worst of the worst and will not hesitate to string you up if you're caught, if you're lucky. They think
Someone's
nothing of
wound
regularly
tightly.
chemically lobotomizing their own subjects for even the slightest error. Your life isn't the only one at risk here.
I don't care who you are. No one talks to my agents that way. Do you understand me?
I'll speak however I choose. Do you know what I've sacrificed? What I'm prepared to sacrifice still? I've spent the better part of a year laying the groundwork for this mission. I don't need a team led by some self-serving raconteur who plays fast and loose with the rules whenever it suits them, fouling it up.
You do remember who's the commanding officer on this mission, right?
For
Ah,
now,
shoot.
unlike you or your team, I am a
I
professional.
pressed the wrong mouse button.
Whether I like it or not, you are the
It's okay.
commanding
If
officer
every
here.
pork chop were perfect, we would not
My
have hot
personal
dogs.
feelings will not impede our mission. I need to go now. My absence will be noticed soon. Once you land, I'll patch in over comms and guide you through the sector.
Augustine! I mean, Agent DeFreeze. I just wanted to say we're all looking forward to working with you.
Who? Niles? Is that you? Law, what?
So they have a
what are you doing
history.
here? It's been so long.
I'm an agent. First assignment. Suppose I look a mite different now. Less grease. Oh, and no more smelling like fuel neither. Most days. Can't wait to see you once this is over, Agent. And good luck.
Same to you, Ibarra. DeVries out.
Yeah.
Navigator's warmed up in the
I want
cockpit.
DeVries out
Whenever
too.
you're ready to fly us in.
Thanks, Wade. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Niles. Thanks, Helen. Let's go, team. To Horizon Point to hopefully wrap up this mission without any delay. Maybe even like a 40-hour delay. I do like this. They do give you a shot of your ship flying to the planet. They do it every time you fast travel to a different planet. I usually skip it after letting it play a couple times. Or I did in my first playthrough. Just because it's like a few seconds. I don't really need to see it every time. I will say, they really did step up the graphical fidelity of this game. I was playing, when I wasn't streaming, okay. I'm playing it on the same quality as I was... Ah, shoot, that's loud. I think the dynamic range of this game is pretty tough to deal with. It's, not very... Okay, hold on. Okay. Well, now they know I'm here. That's something I don't like. Whenever you click back into the game, it fires sometimes. I've had a few times where I was adjusting my music or something, and I had to mouse out and mouse back in, and then I had to reload because I shot an NPC that was incredibly important. Usually a person that I had just finished a quest with. But let's see what these guys have to say.
Push up above the sector once you've opened the way for us.
Okay, and then what about you, sir? What are you gonna do?
We'll hold position until you gain access to the rest of the sector, Commander.
Understood. The voice you're hearing in the background will become more prevalent in a bit. Let me actually adjust volume since I'm now in game. Yep, another gunshot. I gotta... Yeah, there's no dynamic range option. I'm not happy about that, but... Tis what tis. Such is life. I do like the slick reload on this gun specifically. Not every gun has a good reload, you know, as to be expected with different guns and different, you know, varieties of ammunition, clips, chambers, things like that. But this one has a really quick reload that I like. Niles' pistol that you get as a bonus for pre-ordering the game, which I did, is a very similar pistol. It's just got a few extra perks. So we need to... Ah! I've never seen this. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. This is a really interesting development, though. I had never noticed that on the wall before. First, we gotta pick up everything that isn't welded down. Oh, sorry, this is the leader of the Protectorate. This is the Sovereign. His story is pretty crazy. Wait until you meet him. I don't have any picks. I bet there's a pick upstairs.
That smell. Did a Sprat get flash fried in here?
Or somewhere around here. They wouldn't give me something to lockpick and no lockpicks, I would like to say. So we need to restore power with this power fuse. This is a mechanic you'll see a few times in the game. It's not used very heavily, but there's a few key points in like story missions where you'll be able to take advantage of those.
Electrical system misfired somehow. Security's been triggered. This needs to be dealt with quickly.
It will be dealt with quickly. Settings. Come on, game. Can you hear that? I think you can hear that. I will take a look at this VOD and do some audio retooling next time so there's not an issue.
Return to your assigned duties, or demerits will be accrued.
Will they?
A subject is better able to serve when all their blood is contained within their body.
Oh, that's so funny. He just spits him out. That's so silly. I wonder if he'll follow me. I don't think he'll follow me all the way around and do it. But that's still pretty funny.
I'd wager we could use the intercom to call for help, Commander. Must be a guard around here somewhere who can shut the mechs down. Screen's broken, so should be nothing to pass yourself off as one of their own.
I also found a vent around the corner might get us inside in a less conspicuous manner than strolling through the front gate. Though you'd have to pick the lock to see for sure.
That's interesting.
Oh, I came prepared, Commander.
Haha.
There's everything you'll need.
I'm so excited to not use this on the thing that you just gave it to me for. Unless this is a way outside. I don't think it is. I think this is just a little alcove under here. That purple health bar with the icon on it, I believe, means that they're a higher level enemy than you, and I think that's really funny that there's a it's probably like a level 2 rat. That's still pretty silly to see. Okay, so this is actually where he wanted me to sneak. So I think I'm gonna take that path up. In the game, they have denoted certain surfaces that you can mantle with a sort of like cloth, some sort of yellow cloth to indicate you can climb up there. I think that's become that's really prolific in like Sony games, and I think that's interesting. I think it's a good visual indicator that's become sort of a standard. Okay, so I actually need to get over there to disable the mechs, but I don't have any points in hack, so I think what we're going to do is just go full-blown psychopath and start shooting things, but I think I'm going to hide and let that go down, because I want to get in a better position. I don't plan on stealthing very much, so this isn't going to be a majority of the gameplay, but I always like to try to do the first mission like that, just because I'm an Earth Directorate agent, I have a job to do, they want this done quietly, that makes sense to me. It's not around back, it's actually up here. You gotta kind of be sneaky. Give me your stuff. Okay, I need hack and a bypass shunt, so I think that I won't be able to do this just yet, because I think I would have had to have specialized in hack to get there. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go fast and loud in just a second. Let me at least look around for a few more useful items if I can, and then we'll start shooting. Also, just be warned, don't let that little display that I just pulled off fool you. I'm not very good at shooting things most of the time. I do sometimes hit where I'm aiming, but there's sometimes I can't. So, that being said, this isn't about being good at the game, this is more so about just playing the game and giving my thoughts on it. Can I get up there? No, not yet.
Commander, the situation is becoming more fluid than I'd originally planned for. We've got to change
Yeah,
our
I see a lot of fluids around here. That makes sense.
Comms and security concurrently.
Lean back a little bit. Get comfy. We're in for a
DeVries
wild
is
ride.
Consistently on edge. Wasn't just me. You'd think she'd never been on a mission before. Everyone knows fluid's about the best you can hope for. Well, sitting here jawing ain't gonna accomplish much. Looks to be central dispatch on the right with security ops on the left. Which you taking, Commander? We'll hit the other.
So I have always done central dispatch whenever I've done this. So I've done this opening mission about 3 times because there's some characters I wasn't really satisfied with how I built it. And I know you get an option to respec afterwards, but I would rather have just started from scratch anyways. I think that's just, a weird quirk of being me. But I think I'll take security ops this time while they go to central dispatch. So I can, that one's like the more puzzly, hacking, lockpicking kind of route. I think it'll be fun.
Kinda figured that'd be your choice. Abar and I'll take central dispatch, then meet you at the skip labs. We'll stay well out of trouble, won't we, Cadet?
That's right. I'm taking your words to heart, Commander. Not aiming to play hero. Just here to get the job done.
Right. Well, then, notwithstanding Abar's enthusiasm here, or DeVries' concerns over fluidity, I'm fairly certain we've got this under control. Rest easy, Commander.
They do a really good job of making you feel like you're molding your companions, I will say. They have a lot of "this will be remembered" kind of messages that I really like to show you that you're having an impact on the characters in the world beyond just choosing their perks or stats.
Security ops is heavily guarded, so be vigilant. You'll need to shut down security measures once you're inside. I've left a drop for you in the watch post. There's a key to a maintenance tunnel you can follow into the building.
I assume that's the maintenance tunnel. Yes. Okay, so we need to get over there without raising the alarms. I'm going to sneak behind this little propaganda hologram. I don't really see anybody dangerous yet, so I don't know why they went, you have to go stealth. But that's most likely due to... Okay. That's most likely due to the actual stealth part being inside the building. Can I just, like, run around? Anybody care?
Ara, you got any thought to how we ought to proceed?
Yeah,
Being awfully quiet.
they don't care. I think this is where I have to be careful.
How about I, show you when we get to where we're going?
Show her what when you get to where you're going, Niles? That's concerning. Yeah, definitely gonna loot you. Definitely gonna... Ooh, a pick! Hey, look, rewarding me for choosing a route that goes with what I want to do.
As long as it was done righteously in the name of the Earth Directorate. Right, Sandoval?
I wouldn't stand too close to the airlock when we're back on the ship, Pascal. Why? Is there something wrong with the airlock?
Oh, Niles, you sweet summer child. Ah. There's where the stealth is. We don't have any distraction devices yet. Okay. Cool. That's how to sneak in games. If you need that, pause the screen, I suppose. Yeah, shoot. That was a close call. Need to get to the other side of the room. Keep climbing the circle, you stupid robot. There we go. Stealthing. Not immediately busting in and blowing everything up. Yeah.
I stashed a knife in the maintenance access for you, with instructions on how to use it to quietly bypass the guards.
Okay. So, in this route, you get a knife. In the other route, well, no, I guess that's later in the game. I don't know if you... I don't think you get a weapon in the other route. Ooh. Ooh. I would never have gotten this pitchball card. These are little collectibles that you can find throughout the game that increase stats by a small amount, but, you know, it's one of those, if you keep at it, it'll keep going. Oh, okay. Okay. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to utilize this, because I don't have, I don't believe I have melee as a skill now. Yeah, and I don't have sneak either, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to utilize this much, because sneak damage, you have to meet certain requirements based on how strong the person is. But you know what? We'll go into this and try to knife somebody in the back, and if that doesn't work, we'll figure it out from there, I suppose. This gentleman seems unassuming and knife-worthy. Hey, we can do it now. Eventually they will be too strong. And there is a mechanic for hiding bodies, but we don't have access to it yet. So if they spot a body, we're just going to have to be extra careful. Anything interesting over here? Nope, no loot. They call me trail mix, because after I mix them, I leave a trail of bodies.
Have you seen Maori since their return? The state they're in, it saddens me.
Yes, it's sad that they weren't worthy. Otherwise, they'd have had the strength and constitution to emerge a better subject.
Should wait
More
and
able to
see.
fulfill their duties.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay, so they have patrol
that is
patterns.
exactly what I meant. Praise be to the Protectorate.
Please don't turn around, buddy. Yep. Now for you. Shouldn't have looked at that computer, buddy. The internet will kill you. Okay, so this is just them talking about how secure this needs to be for the Sovereign to land here. This is talking about how to mess with the automechanical defense systems, which that is important. I think we'll get something special for that, and we need that key card. Ah, dang, I need hacking 1. I need to level up. Go ahead and take all their stuff, because, I mean, it's not like they're using it. They're curled up on the floor like a leaf petal, as Joyner Lucas would say. Okay. Yes, I'll take that. There's also sliding in this game now, which I think is cool. Aha. Cleaning toilets will kill you, kid. Okay, hear me out. I'm just kidding. Okay, that is... Yeah, that's the same one that we saw earlier that had to deal with security breaches one. This game has a really solid minimap, I will say. And enemy detection can be a little difficult sometimes with the way that they've laid it out, but once you understand it, it's not, like, terrible. Aha! I don't have innovative or engineering, and I don't think I can get engineering, so I think I'm completely locked out of this option. But we can get some biddies earlier on. Hey, look at that, another bypass shunt. That'll be important when I can actually hack things. Incident reports. So... Ah. Interesting. So a guy left his post without submitting it in writing, and was then transferred off-world, I assume, to wherever they chemically lobotomize people like DeVries was talking about. But yeah, they left the other maintenance worker to work on all the automechanicals by himself. That seems about right.
I've left
And a
some
little
distraction
silly.
devices in a floor panel by the scaffolding.
There we
Use them to
go.
bridge the control room. Just wait until their guns are pointing away from your position.
I think it's interesting that it almost feels like this is like a tutorial that I skipped every time. Because this is teaching me a lot more about how the game functions. Ooh, yeah. These are great. These things are pretty fun. They're like, they go in the same slot as a grenade, so if you're not using a grenade, you can use distraction devices to kind of keep enemies where you want them to be and kind of crowd control a little bit. But this section of the game seems like it's actually teaching me so much more about how it functions. Not that I didn't know this stuff already, having completed a playthrough, but I understand it.
We all are equal in the service of the sun. You're here. I don't care where I'm assigned. The bounty bestowed upon each of us is superlative. Thank the matriarch we don't live in one of the re-driven corporate conflicts.
Sorry, buddy.
Get to that.
I don't see him. Behind the pillar?
Every subject ensures glory, a trifling nuisance. Huh. Resolved on its own.
It did resolve on its own. You're right about that. Okay, so now, since there's nobody in here, we can kind of run around and see what's what. Anything interesting? Anything that I would want to look at? Yep, that's a mag pick. Those are the same messages that have been on every terminal as like company-wide or not company-wide announcements. Dictatorship-wide announcements. Ooh, that's interesting. I should probably keep an eye on things that aren't just on the top of the desk. I bet that was the only one. How much you want to bet? I'll bet you 500 bits in game. Once I have 500 bits. Time to disable the security controls, kids. That would be interesting. That's what I could have done with the hanging up, the big ol' robot that was hanging up. Punishable pursuant to our... Okay.
Those mechs should give you no more problems. Rendezvous with
That
your
sounds like
crewmates
it doesn't
outside
matter
and
to
meet
me.
you in skip labs as soon as possible.
That say. Rules for the visit. Okay. Do not add to their burden by forcing them to acknowledge your existence during their visit. Subjects are allowed 2.35 seconds of gazing upon their visage with their head downcast. Direct eye contact is forbidden at all times, and no unacknowledged subject is allowed to bask in their glory from closer than 3 meters. Interesting. They are very, very strict about their leader, which makes sense. I mean, if you've got a leader of a dictatorship, okay. Don't care. Okay, so we need to make our way back down, it looks like. But it doesn't seem like there's anybody in this facility, and if there is, I'll just stab them. But yeah, we've disabled our security control. It actually makes sense that we need to backtrack, because there's something that happens at a specific location in this space in just a second. Also, I'm going to look into it and see if I can play samples of the radio at all later, because I really liked the radio in this game. Can I sneak attack a drone? Doesn't look like it, but it doesn't matter because he's dead. I also wasn't sneaking, to be fair, so maybe it is still possible. I get a little impatient. Random rat. Take that, Stinky. Oh, I'm bad at slicing rats, I guess. Come on. There we go. All the auto mechanicals should be shut down too, so that should be reunite with crew. I wonder if I can still go this way after I've already done the other part. Oh, you can! Interesting! I mean, I think they've cleared everybody out, but that's still really cool that you can go this way. Guess not. Because this door is sealed. So we'll need to figure out how they want us to get there from where I was. Let's take a look at things. Oh, I think I just needed to exit the building and go straight past it. I do like the detail in the sky, the asteroids and fragments of space rock being up in the sky visible is kind of neat. I don't think that would actually happen realistically because this is a very industrious area. I'm sure there'd be smoke. all over, but that's still really cool that that's there. Okay, so this isn't the way. Ah, but if that isn't the way, then I guess I need to go back through here. Maybe I'm just bad at games, guys. Okay, run. Okay. So, yeah, that's the only way forward. Right, now that we're entering... Ah, I see. I neglected to... Oh, wait, no, that leads to the... upstairs, so... How do I... Well, I hope at the very least you can tell I'm not using a guide. There's no way I could fumble this hard. I'm a fool. There's an elevator. That makes a lot of sense. And you could only use the elevator after the security was disabled.
We're en route to the comms control module. Just need to deal with these guards, quiet-like.
Okay, that's telling me what it told me whenever I disabled it. Cool. Anything interesting to pick up? Doesn't look like it. Also, this little Bioshock-looking thing is the auto dock. So, in this game, instead of, you know, having to have a certain amount of Adreno to use the inhaler, instead you can either craft inhaler charges, or you can use an auto dock, which will fully heal you, replenish your Zeranium bar, which we'll talk about later when that's relevant. And it will give you 2 additional inhaler charges every time you use an auto dock you haven't used before. I actually like this system a lot better because what you have a base amount of healing, and you can add in, like, for example, if we go to the inventory menu and go to, this is food, this one right here. So with the medical inhaler, you have a primer, and whatever primer you have in there is what it does. There's a lot of really good primers in the game. Some of them have special effects in addition to granting you health, or they'll grant you, like, some of it will be instantaneous health gain with health gain over time added. Some of it will be instantaneous health gain only. Some of it will be over time only. Some of them will, like, have certain stacks that trigger based on certain conditions. I think the inhaler system is a lot better in this game. I don't like mixing random food products that I don't care about. But I do like that whenever you're out of combat, instead of using an inhaler charge, it will just consume the foodstuffs in your inventory like I've just displayed. I think this is a really good way to still, like, because these items are important to pick up consistently if you want to have an out-of-combat healing option without utilizing your inhaler charges. Because the inhaler does have a certain risk associated to that, which could be turned into a playstyle. I'll talk about that later. But it kind of gives you an idea of what these different products, based on who made them in-game, like the Protectorate or the Order or Auntie's Choice, the merger between Auntie Cleo's and Spacer's Choice from the first game. It gives you a little bit of an insight into how they work. Like this one, for example, distilled from the most aged wines, the Protectorate. This is a brandy. It's called Prestige, so obviously they have very rigid moral philosophy, which it will become evident over the game. Like, this is just something small, but it's cool that if you are just going into it and you look at it before you meet these guys, you can kind of tell who they are. Now, I'm going to use the auto dock. I'm going to take a slight break, and then we will return and play some more of this. Now, I'm only going to take like a 5-minute break. I don't have any other assets made up for my stream yet because I'm just sort of getting back into this. I had an idea and I wanted to run with it. So you'll see the stream starting soon card, but that will be fixed by next stream. I'll be right back. All right, and we're back. I now have my nondescript beverage. And we're ready to continue. See what's going on in these outer worlds of ours. So, this is the point where things start to get a little crazy. And I hope you'll see what I mean in just a second.
Give us a minute.
Something ain't right here. She said. Something about beeps and boops, if I recall correctly.
Whoa. Hold on. What's this doing here?
Ah!
What's that?
That's not good.
Amara, Pascal, do you copy? Niles, say something.
What the fuck just happened? I see smoke.
I'm going to steal these items.
Attempting to resuscitate Agent Ibarra. Please stay clear. An unabridged
Status
debrief is
report,
not
make it
available
quick.
at this time, but in the parlance of Agent Pascal, some crazy, censored, alert. This unit has
fun.
lost contact with Agent Pascal. There is a 90% chance she is trapped under rubble, most likely mortally wounded and beyond help. Triage protocols dictate stabilizing Agent Ibarra's vital signs before commencing recovery efforts. Please secure the area. Attempting to move Agent Ibarra is not advisable at this time. This unit will relocate Agent Ibarra to the incognito once he is stabilized or deceased. All other agents are advised to continue with the next mission objective. Please head to the Skip Labs now. Per Earth Directorate guidelines, incapacitated agent's equipment is available for team use.
This was the other weapon I was talking about. It happens here instead of during the alternate route. That is a good idea, though. I should definitely take his rifle if I can find it. Last playthrough, I couldn't really find it, but it probably got blown.
There were no hostiles in the immediate area. No logical cause for that explosion. There's nothing more we can do for them. It doesn't change our mission. We have no choice but to keep pushing forward.
Agent Ibarra, please respond. Agent Ibarra, please respond. Alert.
That's not
This
helpful.
unit has lost contact with Agent Pascal.
Where is this gun? Oh, wait, that's a problem. Okay, cool. So now we just need to go full aggro. We'll worry. It's just a repeater. I'm not too worried about it, honestly. Just probably shoot these guys. Okay, cool. Now you. Ah, there you are. Oh, that just took out his cover. That green meter at the bottom that you see is the toxicity. That is something that you need to keep an eye on when you're healing, as when the toxicity meter builds all the way up, you will no longer be able to use the inhaler until the bar is completely clear. There are ways around this, and towards the end game, it doesn't really seem to matter a whole lot, but early game is pretty tough managing the inhaler, because you do take a lot of damage. It depends on what armor you have on. I'd also like to say the armor works quite a bit differently than it did in Outer Worlds 1, which is honestly nice to see. Oh. This is what I was talking about with that. Do you remember that piece of paper that I found on the wall? It was like a certificate, and it was for some sort of refreshment. That is this right here. I did not have this the last time I went to discuss with this gentleman in the bridge what was going on. I also didn't take the other route and communicate with him through the... I didn't communicate with him through the intercom as Maori, the gentleman who was mentally refreshed. So I think this will allow me a different dialogue option, which I think is very interesting. What up, janitor?
Discouraging microbes. Arcadia shall be a cleaner system without your influence.
So true.
The turret is non-functioning.
You know what else is non-functioning? Your lungs when I'm done with them. Stab you. Aha! Success. Okay. Now to properly survey this area, see if there's anything cool around here. Doesn't look like much stuff I can take. Looks like there's guys up ahead though, so I think I'm gonna check out what's going on back here. Ah, yes, I see. This is actually a really fun segment. I actually did this last time. So there are turrets, and there are enemies up ahead, and you can activate these turrets while they're in there to essentially murderize them. And I think it's a really fun, way to allow stealth more opportunities to be viable. They did a really good job in making stealth something that you can do, even though I don't hardly engage with it. I remember this room. It felt like there was supposed to be something important here, but there really isn't. It just looks like somebody was maybe living in here for a while. Yeah. I don't know, I expected a little more, but that might just be the Bethesda nerd in me, you know, being like, oh, there has to be something every time, there has to be something every time, there's gotta be, they wouldn't put this room here if there wasn't a reason. However, we can now enable the turret, and he will at least kill that guy. Oh no, I actually took it out. Now, I'd like to see if you can... Yeah, no, it's dead. I think it's time to... You know what I could probably do? That. Yeah, and then that. Aha. You didn't get the grenade in here, though, and I'm gonna run away so you're distracted. Actually, you know what? We're trying to make it through this playthrough pretty quickly. We're killing people. Tactical time dilation is a neat feature, but it kind of feels... I know it's a tool the game gives you, like VATS is. I don't know, I just feel like I could also just kill them in real time. But that's a personal qualm, not really anything that this game did wrong in particular. Now I guess it's time to head through and see... Yeah, there's not really any interesting stuff over here. I already killed those guys. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna... Wait, did I just... Ah, I see what I did. I'd like to go back. I completely bypassed the bridge, but I'd like to talk to the gentleman so you all can at least see the alternate path you can take, which is to attempt to convince this gentleman that you are Maori after having mental refreshment performed on you, which is the chemical lobotomy that DeVries was talking about earlier. I don't know if I can lockpick this door. I can, but I'd rather wait until after he's hostile. Not hostile. No.
Come upon me unawares, you will answer for it harshly. Sustain the system.
There you are. I see you now.
Maintaining perfection.
Haha! You're no match for my pistol sniping skills. Stupid. So, let's talk to this lovely gentleman over here.
Best to just submit to your fate. Best to just submit to your fate.
I didn't get to try to trick him. That's interesting. I am going to, however, rob him, because anything he has is something that I need. Okay. Or you even knew it was happening. Oh, it's because the bridge has already been lowered. That makes sense. That's still interesting. I can't wait for the more fun movement options in this game. I say more fun movement options. More fun singular movement option. It is quite fun to... It's a little double jump thing. I think it's pretty fun. They greatly expanded, like, the verticality and athleticism of this game, and that's what I really like about, the change in gameplay.
What in the void was going on out there? Did you think shooting up the place was a good idea right now? After what happened to Niles? You need to stop the tomfoolery, take the lift behind you, and get to me as soon as you can. Imperative to retrieve this unused for its escape station.
Yeah, I know that was a waste of ammo, but she's such a wiener sometimes. I don't like her. She just complains about everything. Sorry, the female was messaging me. We're talking about dinner plans right now. Let's see what we've got on this desk. Dignity, a lighter, and I suppose this will just have this. Ooh! These are actually different. Okay, so he's got ideas on how to retrieve things from a rift. He's saying, ah, yes, but we planned for you to do things, so you need to do them. And this one is... this is a different person afterwards, saying, yep, that guy sucked, but we'll take care of it, essentially. Let's see what's in here. If it's locked, that means there's gotta be something good, right? Lighter, cigarettes, lung sanitizer, some grenades, and ammo. I think that's a fine hole. I don't know why they let me climb up here if there's nothing to do. But maybe that's just fun. Nobody looking to get shot in the bathroom, I see. Let's heal up a little bit. Okay, that wasn't very much.
Commander, be on your guard. I'm picking up increased security activity in your area. They'll be at your location at any moment.
Yeah. We could do the same thing with Lucky or Science, but I think I'm going to use Science.
It is not our place to question.
Aha! That took care of them. That's good. Cool. See, sometimes you don't have to engage in combat. Sometimes you'll just kill them. There is something around here that I wanted to do with the brilliant trait that I noticed last time I was in this room, which is decipher this board right here. Ah. Well, at some point I'll probably play an evil professor and I'll know what that board says. I could always look it up, but what's the fun in that? Okay, so this is them talking about the skip drives and issue with the rifts. Pick up anything else of note and get the hell out of here, because there's bad guys, supposedly.
Commander, can you hear us? Something's wrong. We can't get into the skip lab, and DeVries isn't responding to our comms. In other words, we're trapped out here.
Okay, so DeVries is not responding anymore. Okay, these are all different things that people have been chemically lobotomized for by their fascist government. Those didn't look like very serious infractions, but also, I'm not Protectorate, so I don't know how that affects people. Maybe the Protectorate knows more than we do. Maybe. Get some inhaler charges, and our first vendor. It doesn't look like they sell much, but these are very important throughout the game. This is how I built up a massive stash of lockpicks. If you can pretty consistently keep cash on you in this game, and just pick up, you know, lockpicks or bypass shunts or grenades whenever you visit a vending machine, it's like a pretty chunk of change every time. But if you can do that, then you can absolutely have enough of each thing by the end of the game to where you'll never need another. Like, I had around 150 explosive grenades at the end of the game and like 90 something lockpicks. It was a lot of stuff. Okay, we need to be careful because there are guys who don't like us here. Aha! I know melee isn't my style, but I honestly kind of like the knife. I might do a melee playthrough at some point. Maybe the brilliant professor will like hitting things with a stick. Ah, yeah. Guy was in pieces after our last conversation, I suppose. Electrocute. Okay, so this is Alderman talking about different things about the rifts, essentially relaying his observations about what happens when you throw things in them. There's an achievement, by the way, for jumping into a rift in this game, and I didn't get it until close to the end of my playthrough because, I mean, early in the game, you see on the first planet you visit after this intro segment, there's a rift, and there are two corporate employees of Auntie's Choice that are next to it, and one of them like just kind of touches it and disappears. So I think that's a really interesting thing to call back to. Okay, so we need to do this quick. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to throw a grenade at him, but I'm going to try to initiate tactical time dilation, so you can shoot it and blow it up mid-air, and I think that's a really kind of Wild West Cowboy way to deal with it. I think that's really cool. Can't really see him moving with this reticle. Ah. A little too high, maybe? Yeah, there we go. Ah, get off me. Ah, okay, let's run. Aha! The Protectorate has been dealt with, ladies and gentlemen. They are no more. We will never have to worry about those guys ever again. So this is just more data on the rifts and their scientific properties. We will go talk to DeVries after we steal everything from these guys that we just killed. And maybe find some other stuff to steal around here. That looks like a problem. Don't want to fight that guy yet. See, I don't like that they have this little blue outline on everything, because on certain things it means that it's a container or something you can interact with, but on that just seems to be decoration. It gets a little confusing. I think they should have maybe had a different color to denote, like, background stuff. This is just a small gripe. This isn't anything major. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to see why DeVries has not been responding to our messages? Being left on red, as it were.
Damn it! Can't you get anything right? You were supposed to be dead already. I shouldn't have depended on your unwillingness to play by anyone's rules but your own, working to my advantage.
Yeah, that's
Infuriating miscalculation
really
on
your
my
fault,
part, but
lady.
one that will soon be rectified.
Rectifier? Now I hardly know her. Alright, so. I hope whoever you're working with paid you well to betray us and the Earth Directorate. Would be what I say, but I think it's pretty funny to insinuate she's terrible at her job. So I guess this whole thing wasn't just because you're horrible at your job.
You think you can bait me with insults? I am a better agent than you could ever hope to be. Not that it matters. Very shortly, nothing.
I would like to call Cap.
Let me put this simply. Simple enough
There's
for
no way.
you to understand. The grand plan mandates this abomination of an experiment must die. And you along with it.
Okay.
I have neither the time nor the need to explain the veracity, the nuances of the plan to one such as yourself.
I don't like the way she delivered the there. It sounded a bit unnatural. What a coincidence. I have no more time to listen to you drone on about the plan.
For once we are in agreement. We are out of time. Farewell, Commander.
So she had a skip drive go essentially like critical and create a massive rift that we are currently trying to escape from. Sorry it's so loud. The cinematics seem to be a lot louder than the actual game itself. And that is what happens when you mess around with skip drives, kids. Don't do skip drives, they're terrible. I do think it's cool that there's like a drop pod like the first game. You get frozen. You get a little bit of like a, hey, this game. We made that one. Now we made this one. So, all of that is setting up what's happened in between the Horizon Point mission and now. Because some time has passed. I'll let the game tell you how much, but a lot of things have changed in Arcadia ever since that. That seems like the mistake with the claw where they have to go for a second grab on it. I think that's a loose nod to Phineas Wells whenever he was trying to drop the hatch for his ship, and it kind of froze up a little bit, and he had to give it a couple of goes. I think that was fun. But we have made it to title drop, ladies and gentlemen. We've successfully completed the tutorial with all my yapping. That door open. I'm gonna go close my office door real quick. Give me 1 second. They did bring back the art for the loading screens, which I really like. It's very detailed. They do that for a lot of things, and it's all about stuff that you've done in the game, just like before. So yeah, we were left in space for almost 10 years. This is Niles now after having successfully recovered.
Exactly. And it would be my fault it happens.
Niles bugging out is funny. That's unfortunate for Obsidian's programming, though.
Prorated according to the mission's failure and your unapproved 3,468-day sabbatical.
I wouldn't call it a sabbatical. I was unconscious, floating in space.
Is not programmed to judge the activities of off-duty agents. Revival protocols mandate a physical and cognitive test to confirm mission readiness. This is to ensure no unexpected changes have occurred regarding your abilities, Commander.
No need. I'm good to go as is. I have never taken this respec option after the tutorial. First couple of times I just built myself a new character, but this time I've played this game. I kind of understand how it works, at least with the portions I've engaged with. So I think I should be solid.
Acknowledged. Your refusal has been noted in your permanent record, and an automatic grade assigned to your cognitive functions. An event summary will now be provided to improve your situational awareness, Commander. If you feel yourself beginning to liquefy at any point, please notify this unit immediately.
The only thing I'm feeling right now is mild annoyance, but whatever. Go ahead.
Following an aggressive merger between Anti-Cleo's and Spacer's Choice, the new corporate entity known as Anti's Choice invaded Arcadia. Anti's Choice claims they are following market demands and liberating Arcadia through the power of capitalism. Many have died. Unfortunately, their invasion fleet
That's pretty fun.
exacerbated the rift anomaly created by Agent DeVries' sabotage of Horizon Point. This means no ship can enter or leave the colony. The rift also remains a threat to the colony. Current estimations suggest the rift will destroy Arcadia in the next 10 years. Give or take 7 to 8 years.
One of the things that this is just a personal thing about me that this game has really tapped into. I truly have a dry sense of humor. I enjoy a lot of dry, kind of pithy humor, and Valerie, this companion, due to her being a robot, it's just in spades. I really enjoy a lot of Valerie's lines whenever I was taking her out into the field. Now, I didn't take her out very often because I liked other companions more. But Valerie isn't bad. Valerie fills a similar role to, like, Sam in the first one, where they just kind of are the robots that are there, and they're funny because they're robots and they treat human problems differently. Although they've greatly expanded the role that the automechanical companion has in the game, because Sam would just, it's like after you brought Sam online, that was kind of it. He just kind of, you know, dropped corporate catchphrases and lines whenever he was speaking and fighting and things like that. He didn't really have anything else to say. Valerie seems to be a lot more aware and a lot more responsive to things happening around her, and that's I like that change. Wow, things really fell apart without me, didn't they?
Initiating reassurance. Do not worry, Commander. Prior to now, the probability of your intervention having had any impact on current events approaches 0%. While the rift is a low
that's
to
probably
medium priority
because
concern, Agent Ibarra
I was
has
frozen.
expressed far more confusion and alarm about Agent DeVries' latest actions.
What's she done now?
It has been confirmed that Agent DeVries was responsible for downing the old Earth Directorate surveillance satellite earlier this month. The satellite had been gathering information since before your mission. When it fell, it signaled agents across the colony, leading to the discovery of you and Agent DeVries. Agent Ibarra prioritized your recovery above pursuing Agent DeVries. This involved disassembling and rebuilding the astrogator to allow the incognito to travel to your location.
So this is them attempting to explain why you cannot visit different planets quite yet in the game. This was something that the Outer Worlds 1 kind of touched on a little bit. They did a little better of a job explaining it this time around, because in order the Astrogator, what it does is it works off of landing pad keys. So when you register a landing pad key to it, it allows you to land on that planet from the point where you have the key forward. So when Niles went to rebuild the Astrogator, he had to take it apart to allow it to lock onto a signal that wasn't a landing pad key to get him out into space, because I'm sure you could manually fly it, but if you can pick up my signal, it's a lot easier to rebuild the Astrogator, I guess, and pinpoint onto me, rather than just flying around hoping to find me in that area, because space is big. That makes sense. But in rebuilding it, it sort of factory resets it, and you don't have launch pad keys. That makes sense. I'm okay with that explanation.
This unit has observed a marked improvement in Agent Ibarra's hygiene regiment since the satellite was brought down. He is shaving again and routinely changes his clothing.
He went full gamer.
Due to the
Dang.
deaths of every other squad member, Agent Ibarra is now a full agent. He is currently in the cockpit. Please extend your congratulations when you see him.
I don't know if he'll be happy. Also, I just noticed Valerie has like little knives on. Well, there's a knife and various implements. I think that's funny. So this flaw right here is something that you got for pre-ordering the game. You didn't get early access, but this is one that people were talking about a lot whenever the game came out. People were they were like, yeah, the game is making fun of you for pre-ordering it, even though they offered a pre-order and had the 72 hour early access period. Tried to charge $80 for the game, which real quick, I severely disagree with charging $80 for this game. I think that it was a stupid move. I think like what they did with the transition from PS4 and Xbox One to PS5 and Series X and S, where because that was such a massive leap in quality, because you went from like, with the base model PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation Slim, and I believe the base models of the Xbox One up until the One X, and the PS4 Pro is their equivalent for Sony. Those were all 1080p consoles. I believe it was 30 FPS. I know it was 30 FPS on the PlayStation 4. I'm not sure of Xbox. I didn't play on an Xbox One very much. I haven't in my lifetime. But when they moved from those, like that generation to the next generation, it is a higher fidelity. The hardware is much more expensive. The games are bigger and better in some regards. I wouldn't say all of them are better. But due to games requiring more from that console jump, because you have to make something that looks good in 4K as well as 1080p as well as 720 if anybody's still using that, in 2560 by 1440, you need something that looks good at all these resolutions. I understand moving up to 70 this console generation, but they're really going to need to crack something crazy and turn their next console into essentially a higher end PC comparable console. I think that's when you can start making the jump to $80 and charging people $80 for a game. But I don't think unless you make a significant enough advancement in the quality of the game from one generation to another, I don't think you should raise the prices based on that. Because, you could dump $300 million into a game, but I don't think that how much money you put into the game is how much money you should charge the consumer. I think it should be based on, the quality of the game. And I know that's incredibly subjective and it's hard to do. I don't claim to be an expert. I don't know, I know about as much as the average Joe about the gaming industry, so I would say $70 games to $80 games should include some sort of massive graphical or processing or accessibility advancement. But back to this flaw. This flaw is one that the game gives you if you pre-order the game. You can find it later if you're like buying certain things in the game. I do want to take this because it'll reduce prices, and I plan on taking some perks that will make prices increase so I can kind of balance it out to a vanilla if I'm careful about it. But the flaws system is actually, I'm going to pause real quick. I think the flaw system is one of the most interesting things about the Outer Worlds, and I think that this is one of those things where they took 2 steps forward. In the Outer Worlds 1, flaws gave you an extra perk point every time you took them, but they took things away from the game, and I didn't like that very much because all you were doing was essentially refining your build in exchange for taking more damage from something, or which it's a fine trade-off, but I think they could have really done something different with it like they did in the sequel, which the flaw system now works to reinforce your play style by cutting the things that you don't engage with instead of prompting you to cut something or you'll never get this flaw again in exchange for a perk point. I think the rewards are much more tangible. In this game, if like the bad knees perk, I know, or the bad knees flaw, I know everybody's been talking about this one, so I'll use this as my example. But the bad knees flaw makes stealth more interesting because you move faster whenever you're stealth crouched. You have like it's like a 15% increase in stealth movement speed. At the cost of whenever you initially go into stealth or whenever you exit stealth, your knees pop. And you can hear that, and enemies can hear that within, I think it's like an 8-meter radius or something like that, and begin checking it out. I think this is a lot better because this moves toward you got different types of stealth playstyles. You've got your stealth that's kind of like you're creeping slowly, trying to do everything perfectly, avoid all the traps, disable things without raising so much as a hint of alarm. Then you've got those where it's like, well, this is going to turn into a big fight at some point, but I'd like to at least get the harder part of the fight out of the way in stealth and then just clean up the guys by going loud afterward. This helps you kind of refine and specialize your stealth, and a lot of the perks do this. And not every one of them. Some of them are still pretty but from what we have in this game, I think it's a massive improvement over the first. Now we're going to look at our skills and start figuring out what we want to do with them. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some points into hack because I haven't tried that out, and that's something that I've been really excited for on this playthrough. I'm sure you've heard me mention it a few times. And then with our perk, I need to see what... Okay. So we need to purchase at least 1 perk in order to get Psychopath, which is what I want to do. I think the one that I'm going to go with first is probably going to be Space Ranger, because I plan on leveling speech, and if you choose this, you get special dialogue options as well. It doesn't tell you that in the perk screen. But the main draw, of course, is damage scaling with your speech skill. I do plan on maxing out my speech, and that is one of my tagged skills, so this is kind of a no-brainer to pick up, and that gives me access to Psychopath. And then let's check our quests. So we've got just the one, the main quest, which is to speak with Niles. Go see how the boy is doing after 10 years with no John Directorate. There's also, if I remember correctly, that. This is something that you can talk to Valerie about. because let me walk you through this here. So I would go up to my captain's quarters, which is this room right here. I would look, see the safe, read the note, store all intoxicants in the safe. This is a Niles note. But Niles very clearly for a while struggled with substance abuse due to the events of Horizon Point and the fact that he didn't really have anybody to guide him afterwards. And we can actually further dig into this by digging into the terminal. So he messaged the Earth Directorate about the failure of the Horizon Point mission, and they told him to just lay low and keep watching. They are not allowing him to extract because they need this mission. Is essentially the gist of the messages. They are keeping him in orbit because they want him to continue doing what he's been doing.
My head around what Augustine did, sacrificing her whole team, and for what? What did our blood pay for?
DeVries was a traitor, and she'll get what's coming to her.
Oh, Commander. Thought you were Val. Glad to see you up and ambling about, and not human stew.
Seems I'm stuck experiencing the miracle of human consciousness for a little bit longer.
Seems so. Better luck next time, I guess. You know, when I first learned some of the escape pods made it away from the station, I'd hoped. I did search for you, Commander. Just as soon as I was able.
Don't beat yourself up about it. I'm sure you did the best you could.
Might be you're giving me more grace than I deserve, but either way, thank you. So then, I gather Val described our state of affairs?
Confirmed. The commander has received a full briefing on the following topics: the invasion of Arcadia, the Rift, and Agent DeVries' survival.
DeVries. Would have been better if she joined the dead. I figured she'd done just that until I got the alert that she brought down the Earth Directorate satellite. If she's of a mind to, she could use the information on that thing to destabilize the Rift and destroy Arcadia. She was one of us, Commander. It's our responsibility to stop her.
Fine by me. If the Legion breaks through, I've got a bullet I'm saving just for DeVries.
Acts of unprovoked violence are not sanctioned by the Earth Directorate except on occasions of premeditative self-defense.
Unprovoked? Hardly.
She's gone to ground now, but as part of her original undercover mission, DeVries was inserted at the Vox relay station on Paradise Island. She then followed protocol, established a safe room there. Wager that's where we'll find clues as to her present plans and whereabouts.
This is my favorite dumb dialogue option in the entire game. The misinterpretation of a safe room as a room filled with literal safes. I loved this my first playthrough, and I'm not going to switch up now. Let me give my best dumb impression. Oh, what if she took all the safes with her when she left?
Remind me again how long those side effects from hibernation are supposed to last.
Hibernation can result in fatigue, imbalance, memory loss, and, in extreme cases, death. All side effects should subside within a 24 to 48 hour period. Death may last longer.
Nothing to wring hands about then. Probably. Just to be clear, I'm not saying we're strolling up to the Vox station and knock nicely. The Vox is highly restricted and heavily defended. It'd be a death sentence. We might ought to explore the island first, find out what we can. The satellite alert pinged DeVries' tracker in a town named Fairfield. Wasn't nowhere clear as yours, so we need to poke around a bit. Doubt she's there now, but it seems a better place to start than assaulting a protectorate communications hub.
That's a solid idea, Niles. So now we are going to... I'm about to end stream here in a little bit because I'm quite hungry. I haven't eaten much today, and the fiance is also hungry. But we will at least touch down and get to the city in on Eden, known as Fairfield. This is essentially this game's Edgewater. I do think that they've tightened up the exploration experience quite a bit. Okay.
Unfortunately, due to a jam, the dispenser is currently
This is
Agent
like
Amara
a.
deprioritized its
Oh wait,
repair in order to focus on rescuing you, Commander.
So this is a mechanic that will persist throughout the rest of the game. After completing certain things in certain special locations, there are these high security lock boxes. You need advanced decryption keys to unlock them. This is kind of like, it's not the only way you can find unique gear, but this is a reliable way of finding unique gear in the game. As long as you see a lockbox and you've collected enough, you can open it up. There's various pieces of gear in the game. I didn't really use any of them, to be honest, because I found what gear I wanted to use pretty early on with what build I was doing. But I think that I might try to experiment more with it on stream just to see what things do, because I am attempting to review the game and really dig into what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and what I'd like to see from Obsidian in the future, with the Outer Worlds specifically. So I think this mechanic is fine. It's interesting. I just didn't engage with it much. Give me 2 seconds with that lockbox, and I'm sure I can have it open.
Tampering may result in damage to the container's contents. Theorizing. Extracting the contents from the first lockbox may disencumber the dispenser, allowing it to return to normal operations. This unit has an advanced decryption key that can open the first lockbox, Commander.
Thanks, Val. That'll save me some time.
Helpful addendum. Scans also indicate an Anti's Choice dematerializer within the first lockbox, which you may find useful in the discreet disposal of bodies, Commander.
This is what I was talking about with being able to hide bodies. You can't pick them up. You can't, like Cyberpunk has their body hiding mechanic where you can pick them up and throw them into a container. I know a lot of other games have that. That was the first one that came to mind. Sometimes you can just drag them around in like a Bethesda game or something. But in this game, you can just straight up shoot a small burst of acid and kill them. And I tested this out by accident. I thought I had tactical time dilation on instead of the dematerializer in combat. There was a dude right up on me, and I was trying to give myself enough time to plan something out and get away from him because he was a high damage melee character. But the acid, whenever you shoot it at somebody, if they're within that short range, because it's very, it's intended for stealth, it'll actually do damage, and it's not a small amount of damage either. I thought that was really interesting as maybe a secondary fun. It's not as effective as just straight up dematerializing a body or using another gadget to deal with an enemy, but I think it's interesting that that's allowed. But cystipigs are good at disappearing bodies too, just saying.
Cystipigs, while omnivorous, are not typically raised on a diet of human remains.
That's true.
Means of body disposal
except in Halcyon.
Additionally, the second lockbox's contents may contain parts to upgrade your Valerie unit. Upgrades are recommended to improve your experience of Valerie.
Whatever keeps you operational, I guess.
An upgraded Valerie unit will boost the team's overall level of effectiveness by an estimated 87.3%. Please be on the lookout for any additional lockboxes, which may be stored here for your convenience.
So true, Queen. I'm going to immediately take that. This is a very good gadget. Oh, okay. It does deal corrosive damage at range. It's not necessary. I should read things more. Alright, so this is where we can choose our companions. These 4 slots have yet to fill up, but they will be filled throughout this playthrough. I also... there's an achievement that I was wanting to get this playthrough since I'm being a psychopath, where you can get every companion to leave your party, aside from Valerie, because Valerie's a robot, and robots don't care about things that you do to people that they know. But I fully intend on driving every single companion away after having completed their quest to get the achievement. I would like to do the quest just for XP and to showcase the depth of story that Obsidian has prepared for these characters. I say depth of story. That's not the case with all of them. some of them are as deep as a puddle. But let us head to Paradise Island, the main landmass of Eden. There is another location on this planet that you can visit, but it's like it's a specific thing for a quest and not necessarily like a fully fleshed out area. All right. Let us explore. So the frame rate's gonna drop a little bit here, just because we're in our first actual open world space. But it's not looking too bad. Okay, so we have our first enemy encounter up there. Let's go steal stuff from this guy, though. You look here. This is setting up something the Protectorate is working on right now. We'll cover that next time I play, I believe, as we dig into the actual story proper. But I figured this is a good way to get kind of what I'm going for out of the way, so I don't have to yap as much next time I play, and we can focus more on what the game actually offers instead of my opinions on it. But I thought this is like a fun way to do a first episode, I think. So there's some Protectorate wasps up here. They are not terribly dangerous. Don't care, I'm not using their abilities right now. If I need to use their abilities for these little drones, I'm failing horrifically. This, okay. I think now's as good a time as any to talk about Zeranium since we've got the pop-up here. Zeranium seems to be Obsidian's stand-in for radiation in Fallout. It was very clear with this game as I was playing through it that they are attempting to go more Fallout with this than the first one to kind of closer align with what they were selling both times around. It's not a bad mechanic, so Zeranium, as it says here, what it does is it fills up your toxicity bar. As Zeranium fills up your toxicity bar, your maximum tolerance for the toxicity from your inhaler lowers. Whenever that happens, you're prone to crashing, which is what it's called whenever you've used the inhaler too much and it needs to deplete the toxicity bar. This is something that I think is a pretty cool mechanic, but I don't know if I think it's cool because I liked the radiation mechanic from Fallout yet. I don't know if it's because they found something interesting to do with it as like they have essentially like a bleed build in this, sort of. It's not exactly how it works, and I'll go into it more in just a second. But yeah, I don't know why I think it's neat yet. I'll do some thinking on that and get back to you. But Zeranium is in a lot of places. It sometimes blocks like certain areas that you need to get to for like story reasons. So you'll get a gadget eventually to deal with the Zeranium that will help you get into these areas. There's a lot of gadgets like that actually. But this is a good note here. Some of them are denser than others. There are some Zeranium clouds that you can stand in and be fine. You'll just slowly take passive Zeranium damage. But some of them, like, will just straight up instantly kill you. Like this one in the screen here, this is from a town on this planet. And if you it's not a town, it's more like a base for the Protectorate. But if you run into that cloud, like I tried to, because I thought if I got through it quick enough, I could just not need the gadget. No, it will kill you. Zeranium also has an additional effect where if you have a Zeranium weapon and you fire it at an automechanical, instead of dealing damage, it'll actually amp them up and cause them to do more damage and move faster. And I think that's really interesting. But with this Zeranium bleed build that I was talking about, there's a certain helmet in the game, and I don't know if any other equipment has this kind of effect. But whenever you're crashing, you deal additional damage. And that combined with something that makes you like things that make you more likely to crash, like higher healing primers or primers that apply a small dash of Zeranium poisoning to you whenever you use them. It's a really good way to kind of create a cyclical nature to combat, which I really like. Your opening move is to set everything up, start dealing damage. Then once you get close to dying, you can pop your inhaler if you have a low toxicity threshold and you have a couple primers in there like I did. You'll immediately crash after the first inhaler use, but that will massively increase your damage output, allowing you to kill them quicker and maybe not need to heal afterwards. I think it's a really interesting trade-off as kind of a risk-reward type playstyle. I very much enjoyed it, especially with some weapons later in the game. They made that a really fun playstyle. Let's continue. But yeah, I think this game has a lot of really... I think this game, the thing that really I enjoy about it is the little things, like the little things, like the details and small things that you just kind of notice and understand without having to talk about it or explain it. I think that's pretty interesting. Okay, so we're going to chat with this lady, and then I'll be ending stream, and we'll pick back up with the town of Fairfield, an Auntie's Choice town located in Protectorate space.
Welcome to Fairfield, now under the new and improved management of Auntie's Choice. I'd usually ask if you were affiliated with the previous regime, but you lack the bewildered gaze of a yay-saying Protectorate subject. Even
I sure do.
I'm going to have to ask you to identify yourself. Still a war on and all.
I'm a Sprat exterminator. Got an order from your supervisor.
Really? Everyone knows we're cultivating our Sprat population for a new deep-fried snack line. So I refuse to fall for such a ham-handed attempt at dissemblance. Look, we're Auntie's Choice. Lying's fine. We downright admire it even, if you pull it off. Next time, try a little harder. End of the day, we let most anybody in. Bottom line's all we care about is our bottom line. That'll be all. Unless you got any questions before you're on your way.
I'm looking for a trader who goes by DeVries. Any ideas where I might find her?
As I've never heard of her, can't say I can. Seems like Minister Milverstreet knows everybody, though. Probably ask him. Anything else?
Is it normal to get shot at by auto mechanicals on the way to town, or are we just special?
On the way from the landing pad? Had a convoy out that way. They're overdue. See any sign of them?
Unfortunately, yes. Found this on one of their bodies.
Damnation. I know that toss ball. Belonged to a friend on that detail. Keepsake, I guess. Thanks. That'll mean a lot to his family. They can use it to pay his gravesite fees. Fool. Them Protectorate drones been a serious menace of late. Heard Trooper Faulkner shot a few. You find a way to put a stop to them. There's a bounty for it.
Good day, then.
Once again, welcome to Fairfield.
Okay, so real quick before I go, a fun little tidbit. So tossball, I know I talked about the tossball / pitchball cards. The Protectorate calls it something different than the corporations, and that's just due to how society developed. But from what I've seen, which isn't very much, tossball looks like a mix between football and lacrosse. They have certain sticks, like they have pitchers and they have catchers with it, and they have like a small heavy ball that they pass back and forth to each other, but there's also supposed to be evidently incredible amounts of grievous bodily harm involved in it. Tossball players are getting injured all the time, whacked in the head with sticks. It seems like a real, like if football was like for gladiators, I think, is how it comes off to me. But yeah, we just gave over a commemorative tossball to this lady for her squad, so they could pay for their gravesite fees, and that was something that was really touched on in the first game. In this world, under corporate rule at least, because there are other factions in this game that aren't corporate, as opposed to the first one, which is primarily just working with different corporations or Phineas Wells. But with the toss balls and the toss ball cards and the pitch ball and toss ball being different, under corporate rule, if you kill yourself, it's considered vandalism. And that's because it's considered irreparable damage to company property. And I thought that was really interesting that they're kind of harkening back to what they've established in the first game, in a small way. Just a little nod here and there to some of the quests that I did in the first one. That's what I was kind of saying with Outer Worlds 1 in relation to 2, is it's kind of just there in the background if you played it or remember it or pick up on it. But it's about 6:18 p.m. my time, so I'm going to go ahead and hop off and get some dinner. But thank you very much for sticking with me and enjoying this first wacky foray into the world of Outer Worlds 2 together. Take care, and you all have a wonderful night.